The mass assault in Cologne on New Year's Eve once again thrust Europe's migrant crisis into the spotlight. Increasingly, it seems, once accepting publics are having second thoughts, forcing political leaders into damage control mode. Joining me tonight to discuss this is Daniel Shek, former Israeli ambassador to France. Good evening.
Hi, Lucy.
Also, Gisela Dachs, the Zeit reporter in Israel. Good evening. Let's start with you. You know, I asked this before and I will ask it again. Stereotypes in this decade and always were very easy to manage, to maneuver, and let's say extreme parts of the German society or the European society don't need a lot now to finger point the migrants. This is maybe the best case that they can put out there and say, you see, what we warned is happening.
Well, I think the debate is very strange right now because instead of looking what happened and what should be done or what could be done, it has become only so far a political debate between the right and the left. The right saying, well, you know, we told you so, this is exactly what's happening, and the left trying to downplay the news. It took a while until it really got out. Also, the police cooperated, the media, out of the fear that this might lead to a strengthening of the right. But they don't deal with the issues. They start now, today, yesterday, but it took a long time until a discussion with more substance has started.
Let's talk a little bit about the fear to confront the reality and to say, hey, this situation is difficult. Yes, there is no complete truth, and we are seeing that we need to, in one way or another, make these migrants understand that the culture that they are coming from is not the same culture that they're getting into. And these things, by, let's say, not putting it transparent to everyone and the media taking even part of it and not putting it out, this is problematic.
Well, this is a bad case of there's no free lunch. You open your arms for a huge wave, in a magnificent gesture, to a huge wave of refugees. There's a price. There's a price. These are people who come from a different culture. Some of them are without their families. Some of them live still under, they are in a culture shock. Not only the receiving societies in a culture shock. And what's more, as far as I heard, at least some of the people involved are not part of this latest wave of migrants. They are people who came at other times from North Africa, from other places. There's a lot of strange things going around this. There's now all sorts of, maybe Gisela knows better than I do, this information about some sort of organized phenomenon that at the same moment in different cities in Germany there was suddenly such a wave of aggressions against people, and certainly now there's the pendulum goes back. There's the attacks against Muslims, against visible minorities, which, by the way, are not a new phenomenon. There are attacks on places where asylum seekers and refugees live all the time. All the time.
But you know, the media is saying the day after the New Year's that the New Year's Eve passed with no exceptional incidents. And today, when you're living in an era where social media is the first media that everybody...
It's ridiculous.
It's
well, this
ridiculous.
is why the chief of the police of Cologne had to step down, because exactly that they said in the day after that nothing unnormal had happened, and then a few days later a report came out where, and then until the end of the week, more than 300 women only in Cologne complained, and then it got just much different than what they said before. They tried to downplay it out of politically correctness, many things at the same time. And what's happening, it goes with a discussion that already existed before, is the famous sentence, is Islam part of Germany, as the Chancellor Merkel said a few months ago. But I think that it's becoming again a discussion about, is the Islam integratable? What can we do with it? But what I think what's missing there, it's not so much, I think, the Islamic background. I think these are people, as Dani said, they come from, they're also traumatized, many of them. They come from a war zone, and they are coming from societies where there is no civil society. So the whole concept, they are under culture shock. And this is something, right now the discussion is happening without them.
You know, but...
you know, just as an example, France received massive numbers of immigrants from Muslim countries. Over years, it was a gradual thing. And they could not integrate them. Look at what's happening. So imagine in this sudden downpour of refugees who are really alien to this culture, there must be breakage. There must be...
You know, people don't understand, and I think that maybe the viewers don't understand that when you're coming from an Arab culture, when you're coming from a Muslim culture, you don't see women celebrating and drinking alcohol and dancing on the streets like as a usual manner. Maybe we're...
Unless they're considered indecent.
Exactly, yes. Unless they are, or maybe being even killed because they did something like that. And then they're coming to Europe and they're seeing this. And sometimes, you know, I'm watching this, even me, if I'm going to a small village in Israel, an Arab village, and I'm dressed in a certain way, people will look at me in a totally different way and tell me and call things to me, like phrases and words that, you know, I will ever hear here in Tel Aviv. So I think that the viewers don't understand this, and I wonder if this discussion is brought in or is discussed in the German media. Well, or in the German society.
It is, but very, very carefully. Because again, it's immediately, whenever people speak out, and a few of them do, then the counter-argument is immediately, but you are giving fuel to the right wing, and we don't want that. So in my opinion, you have a wrong discussion about freedom. As one of the most important anchor women on German TV, she said, and we should not give in to what has happened. We should continue with our culture of welcoming refugees. We have to fight for our freedom. And what did she mean? She meant that the freedom meant not giving into right-wing parties. But freedom, fighting for freedom, means also calling things by their name and fighting for...
And combining forces with the right and the left to understand what is happening.
This has come as a shock. And now there is all kind of, even what is interesting, you're having a third generation of migrants, Muslim women, coming out by now saying, but there is also structural violence of white males. It's not only them. So it's becoming, again, even inside this discussion, something...
who is being a victim more than in a specific situation?
Generally speaking, it's not a bad thing that there is a discussion about the safety of women and about aggression against women and about sexual harassment. It's a healthy discussion in any society, and you know, I dare anybody to tell me that there is no sexual harassment in Germany, excluding Muslim men. Of course, there is. Just one point, I'm not at all surprised that this is a totally political debate or that there's a very thorough attempt to turn this into a political debate, because it is the #1 issue by which the opposition is trying to destabilize Angela Merkel. She took a very big chance when she announced opening the borders. She probably knew that it was a high-risk decision. She did it with open eyes, and I think she was also prepared that this would awaken a lot of opposition against her.
So let's take it one step forward. You said that everybody, that maybe the German society is in shock, that it's coming as a big shock to the German society. The German society is expected to receive 1 million refugees in the following year. If we are looking at the current situation, how long can the German society or the West society continue being in shock? And, you know, you can be in shock for 1 or 2 days, but at a certain point you need to get out of the shock and start understanding that this is a bigger problem, or to open your mind that maybe there is a certain discussion that you didn't
I mean,
start
my
with.
impression still is that the people in charge really don't know what to do. I mean, Merkel now is kind of saying, well, she was very firm on that by saying this should never be allowed. There's nothing to be done to make this looking nicer as it is. It is awful, and these people should be thrown out of the country if it is seen that these are refugees. She has been very clear. The other debate about limits of who can we let in or how quickly can we put people out, this has been already existing before, but I still think there is no clear policy about what should happen in the weeks and months to come. And this is, you can feel this
problem
everywhere.
Number one of the Western world. If it's the United States that doesn't have a clear policy on Syria, and if it's the Europeans that
it's a dynamic world, and the German government and the Chancellor had to react to a sudden, unexpected crisis. Not that the refugees were a new phenomenon, but suddenly they were pouring into Europe, so you had to decide what you do with them. So you have to make up a policy as you go, and I hope very much for German society that this policy will emerge very fast, and that it will, contrary to what happened in many other countries, luckily for Germany, there are places to learn what not to do, so that it will include not just jobs and social services and social security, but also teaching the language, education, guidance and tutoring in how to understand the codes of this new society. These people need to learn a language that is not just German. It's the language of Western liberal society. It's a different set of vocabulary that these people don't know. Now, many of them are educated and come from the higher spheres of Syrian and other societies, so they might be receptive to this.
And I think that the Arab world, the Arab Spring just proved that you cannot just create democracy in 2 days or few months. Gisela and Daniel, thank you very much for this. We move to lighter news, although also exciting, at least if you play the lottery. After nobody won Saturday's Powerball draw in the U.S., the jackpot has risen to at least $1.3 billion. Yes, 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 you heard that right, $1.3 billion, the largest ever prize. The odds of winning, about 1 in 222 million, less than the likelihood of giving birth to identical quintuplets. Yes. I'm not, probably it's not going to fall on me, or maybe someone in the studio. Now let's go to Hollywood, to one of Hollywood's biggest nights, the Golden Globes, seen as a bellwether to the Academy Awards. The Reverend was the big winner, but there were some surprises as well. ABC News with the recap.
And the Golden Globe goes to The Revenant.
The grand finale for a grand show as the Best Motion Picture Drama is announced.
Snitch.
Ricky Gervais back at it again. The host of the Golden Globes taking swipes at Sean Penn during his opening monologue after the actor interviewed a Mexican drug kingpin.
I want to do this monologue and then go into hiding, okay? Not even Sean Penn will find me.
The laughs made way to the first award of the evening for a genuinely surprised Kate Winslet, who won for Best Supporting Actress in a feature film for her work in Steve Jobs.
I really am actually extremely surprised and overwhelmed.
Moments later, Matt Damon won for his role in The Martian.
It's literally been 18 years since I've been here doing this, and with a little more context, I know how lucky I am.
Other acting awards going to both new and old TV shows.
Thank you so much.
I really am truly speechless. Thank you so much. Sylvester Stallone.
The winner everyone agreed on, Sylvester Stallone, who was honored for his work in Creed with a roaring standing ovation.
I want to thank my imaginary friend, Rocky Balboa, for being the best friend I ever had.
Stallone, among other best movie actors.
What an incredible honor. Wow, that meant a lot. Thank you so much.
And best actresses.
It was such an honor to play this character. Thank you to our supporting cast. Thank you to my hometown, Kentucky.
With the Globes over, the race to Oscar Sunday is now officially underway.
Yes, we imagined if we would have $1.3 billion, we imagined if we will win the Golden Globe ever. But according to TMZ, imagine that Playboy Mansion, the site of some of the wildest parties ever thrown in LA, is for sale. The 6-acre estate built in 1927 will be listed within the next month at a reported asking price of a cool $200 million. There are a couple strings attached. First, whoever buys the home will be required to give Hugh Hefner a life estate, meaning he can continue to live in the mansion until he dies. Good night.